All right, thanks for stopping by. So I guess the first thing we need to do on this project is see if it'll come alive at all. So let's change out the battery first and go from there. All right, we're always going to start with taking the ground off first. If the positive lead doesn't have a ground to go to, you can't short the bike out. So take the ground off first. This is our seat strap trick. Let us pull the battery up a little bit so we can get access to this front terminal right here. Easily pull the battery out. All right, let's go back in with a new battery. Now, there's a couple things on here that I don't know if we need or not right now. So I'm going to leave them off. Looks as though some type of an accessory. I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't want it to impede upon what we're doing, so I'm going to leave that off for right now and put back what actually belongs, which is the charging port and the actual positive lead. All right, we're going to just leave this other little accessory right there for right now. We'll come back to it later if need be. Now, let's hit the switch here. We got some action. All right, now next thing is fuel. I don't know the fuel situation. It doesn't smell all that bad. There is fuel in it. It doesn't, yeah, it does too. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the fuel and put fresh in. Be right back. All right. Okay, let's siphon some of this fuel out here. Oh yeah, beautiful amber color. Looks like it's running on Jack Daniels. Let's see how that works out for us now. We'll get all that stuff out. This is fine Kentucky bourbon whiskey coming out of here. Yeah, it's starting to smell. I would say this gas is probably a couple years old. And hopefully we don't have any problems with the tank rusting. Usually when it turns amber like this, it's because of rust. So we'll see. Looks like I got a couple gallons out of it so far. It's still draining. And actually that might be a good sign because it was had so much fuel in it. Maybe that kind of preserved the tank. We can hope. So I don't imagine this tank's going to be easy to find if it's got serious damage, but we'll find out. Now, of course, there's still going to be fuel in the system down here, pressurized system from the pump basically to the injector, so we're going to have to work that out some way. Okay, I've got about a gallon of fresh fuel in there, and let's just see if the fuel pump comes on. Negatory. Fuel pump did not come on. Let's try it again. Nope. Oh, well, maybe. All right, so that leads us to another situation here. We're gonna have to put a fuel pump in it. So that's a whole nother project in and of itself. So at least we know where we are as far as the fuel system goes. We've got power. Start button works. Looks like the electrics work on it, but we're gonna have to address the fuel system. There's no way to get it started without doing that. Okay, so the course of action has changed. After consulting with the owner and knowing what we've got to deal with as far as the fuel system goes, cost involved, potential other problems, injectors, fuel lines, the whole thing, condition of the tank, all that stuff taken into consideration. We've decided we're going to convert this one over to a CV carburetor, a stock CV40. It's going to appear just like it does here. It won't have any difference in the way it appears. It potentially might even sound better, and the big bonus is we can now keep this D&D header, which I wanted to keep it anyway, but now we can. So there will be some bonus footage on converting this bike over to a carburetor, so hang in there. But right now what we're going to do while we're waiting on the parts to come in is we're going to go ahead and dive into the cam chest and get that tackled. All right, hang in there. All right, we're going to go ahead and start by pulling the cam cover, and as always, make sure you got your tool set nicely inside of the Allen, because you don't want to strip one of these things. Friendly persuader, a couple of taps, just like that. And there's the old spring-loaded tensioners.
The old miss. The old man.
All right, so the first thing we have to do, and I've already pulled the spark plugs, is we have to find our timing marks. I always like to try to clean this off a little bit. And I'm going to use a silver Sharpie so it's easy to see. That's the timing mark for the big gear. Now we got to find the timing mark for the little gear. And it's probably hidden behind this washer right here. The logic would tell me that it's right there. But in order to find out, I got to buzz this off. So hold on real quick. And as expected, there's the timing mark for the little gear. So let's clean that off a little bit. Mark it. Now it's easier to see. Okay, so to start this process, the way I do it is we want to start with the rear cylinder, top dead center on compression stroke. So we know that that's the case when these two timing marks meet each other or touch. So what I'm going to do is spin the engine over gently.
I see where they're going with this.
Very gently. Takes hardly any effort until these two timing marks do what I call touch, like right there. All right.
All right.
Let's pull the pushrod tube keepers. Pull them off. And probably gonna need to put some lube on her. No, that one was pretty good. That one did too. So now what we're looking for is the ability to spin. That one spins between my thumb and index finger, and that one spins the same. So we can cut these out, get them out of the way. Okay, next step is we want to put the front cylinder top dead center compression stroke, and we know that's the case because when the timing mark on the large gear is 180 degrees out, matching the timing mark here, we know we're in the right position. So we will turn the engine over very gently. Just like that. See how these are lining up? That should put the front cylinder top dead center on the compression stroke. So let's remove these push rod keepers, get them out of the way. See if I'm lucky enough to be able to move these up. Yep, that one I can. I have to go get, nope, that one went too. Okay, so now, see if it spins. It sure does. Spins that like that, spins like that. So we're good to go. These can be cut out. All right, that puts us in a good position. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and pull these old O-rings out. All right, now we can go ahead and unspring our tensioner right here. I use a small screwdriver and a pair of pliers. Just like that. Let's take the top bolt off. All right, that should allow us to pull this gear set off, and I'm going to squeeze it together and save our timing, just like that. And I can release this tensioner just like that. Now it's done. All right, we're going to put our tappet holders in here. This keeps the tappets lifted up out of the way so that when we pull the cam chest out, things aren't just catching on each other. You know, the lobes aren't catching on the wheels of the lifters and that kind of thing. Just keeps them from falling down. We are about to pull the cams out. Now we're not going to reuse any of this stuff here at all, other than the chain on the back side. Everything else is going away, including the oil pump. Everything is going to be replaced with S&S parts. So let's go ahead and pull these outer bolts. Let's see if we can get that to come out now. This doesn't take a lot of persuasion, a whole lot, but it does take some. There it goes, just like that. Okay, now, you see me do this many times. I don't like to make a mess with oil. Sometimes you're going to. As you can see, there's oil coming out now, but if we put this in a towel like that, all right, so I'm gonna set this on the counter. Okay, if we zoom in, you can probably see that these are the inferior bearings. See, roller space, roller space, roller space, roller space. We're going to replace those. We're also going to replace all of these O-rings. That one's hard as a rock. That one's got a screen in it. So the next thing we're going to do here is probably scrape the gasket while we got plenty of room. Then we're going to pull those bearings and replace with new. So hang tight. All right, we're going to get started with our bearing extractors tool. We're going to pull these two bearings out. So as usual, we start out by pushing the tool all the way through. We're going to lock it into place. Now let's spin this down. All right, we're good there. Now, this is not a precision tool. It's just tapping that rod through there so I can hear the difference when it gets to the crankshaft. All right, now we're going to spin the big nut down, and if you listen closely, you can probably hear that bearing crack. There. Now, all it did was release itself from the crankcase. All right, now let's check, make sure the bearing's in there. And it is, still intact. Okay, now we'll go into the front, push it through. We're going to put our expanding rod in there. Now this is my method. If you guys do it differently, do it differently. This is my method. I know this works for me. So we're going to tighten down our nut and just verify one more time. It's all the way in there. All right, we'll take our wrenches. Listen for the snap. There it went. Okay. Spin that one out. All right. Very good. By the way, this is a Jim's tool. There's your part number. If you use anything less than this to take a bearing out, make sure you play the lottery. All right, so now we're done with that tool. We can put it away. Okay, we are going to now go back in with new cam bearings, and I've shown this many times, but I'll show it again. That's a factory bearing. See, there's a roller spacer. This is the replacement bearing, all rollers. This bearing is twice as good as this bearing, literally speaking. So, go and get, old bearing. We don't need you no more. Hello, good bearing. Let's get you installed. Now, if you'll notice, there are numbers. You might be able to see them. There are numbers on the outside. On this side, there's no numbers. These bearings go into the case with the numbers out. Into the case with the numbers out. All right?
All right.
So let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to put some assembly lube on these bearings. We don't want to start them up dry. So just some good old assembly lube will be fine. Both bearings. That'll be good enough. Just get some lube in there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, this is our installation tool. We're going to spin these out a little bit to make room. All right, and then we have these adapters that go on here like that. So we make sure we have the letters to the outside, just like that. They get loaded onto the install tool. And yeah, we're still going to have to back these out a little bit. All right, now let's see if we got room. Yeah, we should have room. We can put our thumb screws in like so. Just want to make sure everything is lined up. All right, now it looks like everything is good to go in there. So let's kind of just eyeball it and see. Yep, the bearing's going into place. Now these bearings can only go so far and they'll stop. There's a sort of a ledge on the back side of the crankcase here where it won't let the bearings go but so far. And you can see I'm doing this with one hand. It's not hard, but when you feel it stop, you stop. Right there. That's it. Okay, that's the end of it. Do not force it. Okay. So that's it. So we'll back that off. Back that off. Take our thumb screws out and pull the tool off. All right. We've got our plate assembled, new bearings, 509 chain drive cams. We are assembly lubed all up. Rear tensioners on. And we're going to go in here with this thing just like so and get it to rest in its new home. Just like that. All right. Now let's go in and put our fasteners in place. And again, I'm just going to snug these. Okay. Now I'm going to torque the outer fasteners at 115, following the order on the plate. There's 1, 2. All right. Now let's put our gear set back on. Not forgetting our gear spacer. Goes right there. Our timing marks are still lined up, and we'll go in, put our bolts in place and our tensioner, and we'll be in good shape. All right, let's get started with our push rods. I'm going to put our new O-rings in place, all locations. Okay, since we stopped last front cylinder, top dead center, we're gonna go back with the push rods, adjustable push rods, and start there. All right, so we're gonna put an intake push rod in place, and let's spin that down by hand. All right, now our little assistant here, keep those up out of the way. Okay, so what we do is we hold the bottom stem here, and then we take our 7/16, and we're just going to get it to where it stops. And then we're going to go around 24 flats. That's 4 turns of 6 flats. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 23, 24. All right, there's 24 flats. We're going to leave that be for right now and go ahead and put in the exhaust side. We're going to wait for this to bleed down. 23 and 24. All right, now we're going to let that sit. Meanwhile, we can come back over here to the back side and see if that one already bled down. Probably has not, and it has not. So we're going to give it some time, and I'll check back with you in just a minute. Okay, it's been probably 20 minutes or so. And let's check and see if this intake has bled. Look how simple that moves. Okay, that one's good, and that one's good. Okay, now we're going to take a little dab of blue.
A little dab will do you.
Just a little bit, and put right in there, just like that. We don't want them to come loose. And I like to just spin these around a little bit to work that in there. Back and forth a little bit to get it in there. And then we're going to lock these down like that. Okay, next stop is going to be putting the clips in place. Always double check, make sure when you're putting this upper part of the push rod in there that it seats, because it'll give you a false indication. You'll think that it's in there and it won't be. Then you'll have a leaking push rod after you've ridden it. Make a mess all down the side of the bike. Okay. Take the clip, goes right into place like that. I've had this screwdriver for a long time. I used to be in the telecommunications business, and this is one of those tools I kept in my tool belt. And so what I did 8 or 10 years ago, I ground the screwdriver down, this particular screwdriver down, so it would fit perfectly in that little groove right there. And I've had this screwdriver, I don't know, man, oh my goodness, a long time. I've been working on bikes for nearly 20 years, and I had a whole 25-year career in telecommunications, so there you go. All right, that's that. Now I'm going to move our gear set around so that the rear becomes on top dead center. And how do we do that? Spin it around until these timing marks touch, what I call touch. All right. This is not hard to turn at all. Literally putting no effort into it. All right, so there you go. Now, That puts the rear on top dead center, compression stroke, and we can put those push rods in. And while I do that, we'll move on to something else. So hang in there. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. That's the cam chest, new cams, push rods, push rod tubes, tensioners, oil pump, cam plate, all the good stuff. That's taken care of. The next part is going to be converting this thing over to a carburetor. And that's a pretty involved job. So that's what we'll focus on the next video. I appreciate you guys watching. This is going to be a really cool bike when we get done with it. And stay tuned for the next video. I'll talk to you later.